My name's Tim Thomas, and I'm from Middletown, Connecticut, and this is my 2003 Volkswagen Beetle Stage Rally car. Ever since I was young, I was always interested in cars in one way or another. I remember the first time driving stick. I remember my first car that I ever purchased, which was a 1999 Mazda Miata, and I had that for 7 years. I spent a lot of time in school, in my spare time, on a shoestring budget, turboing the car, putting coilovers on it, putting street mods on it, and having an absolute blast learning how to modify and design and make the Miata make a little more power and be a little more fun on the street. Ended up bringing that to autocross, so that's kind of the first racing you could say. After that, going to track days. Track Night in America is an awesome place to start. And at the same time, one of my good buddies, Ben, was doing the same thing, but was also going to rallycross events, which is essentially just autocross, but in dirt lots. I didn't want to take the Miata because it was on coilovers and lowered, and I didn't think it was going to be a good setup. So I ended up taking my daily driven Honda CR-V, which is a first-gen 5-speed all-wheel drive car, and without doing anything else to it, just brought it to rallycrosses and started having a blast. And I rallycrossed for about 3 years on that platform and got second place in the prepared all-wheel drive category for New England, against like 10 or 15 other Subarus. So it was really interesting to go and do that with my daily driven car. And the next step from rallycross, which is an absolute blast, was to go into rally sprints and into stage rally. So I looked around and said, hey, what's a good platform to go ahead and start doing a build on that, since I was never going to take a medium-sized SUV out for a full stage rally build. And so looked around, and the Mark IV platform looked to be a great platform. The engines are awesome, and I was looking for a turbo front-wheel drive setup, and woke up one day and said that I wanted to just do a Beetle because it's different, it's cool. The chassis are awesome, the engines are great, so I went with that and just started building from there, and now I have a full stage rally car. Essentially what it is, it's a 2003 Beetle. Turbo, not Turbo S, that was completely gutted, stripped down to nothing, and I went through and just kind of did the major pain points on the 1.8T. So replacing all the plastic components with aluminum counterparts, so I wouldn't have to worry about any of the plastic components failing. Going through a metal impellered water pump, it's a full 3-inch exhaust with a cat tip at the back of it. It's tuned by United Motorsports. It's basically, from an engine side of things, it's essentially stock. It's the stock engine, it's the stock turbo. It runs a little bit more boost than factory, but other than that, when it comes to a stage rally build, you don't want to have big power or anything really complicated. So it's a $200 motor that my buddy sold me that I just opened up, looked at it, said everything looks good, and threw it back together, and then just made sure that all the exterior components were where they need to be. The chassis is essentially stock, but it does have a full FIA ARA logbook cage and full 6-point harnesses. It has FIA Halo seats. It has a full wiring, basically all electronics removed from the car except for what's required to run the engine and the lights. It has a PDM, so all of the fuses and relays have been removed. They've all been rewired into a PDM unit, so it's all digitally controlled rather than the mechanical relays and fuses. For simplicity and for reliability. So there's a lot of work that went into basically making the car a simple, reliable bulletproof chassis, which versus like a standard Mark IV, they're just plagued with electrical problems. So we went through and completed all that, just me and my friends in my garage. It has a WaveTrack LSD, since the open diffs are known for grenading themselves. It has axles. I have drive shaft drop axles in the car, since I've blown up 3 axles now. It has a roof scoop. It's lifted on VR6 wagon springs and Bilstein HDs all around, so it's pretty budget build as far as the suspension goes. But you know, it's one of those things for stage. You don't want to go and spend $5,000 or $6,000 on a suspension for your first build. You want to go out there with your cheaper suspension setup that you can learn on, and then as you grow, you can then put on a much more heavy duty suspension to really start competing. For rally events, and for rallycross events, I've been running gravel tires. The cheapest way to do it is with some secondhand tires. So I ran Hoosiers for a little bit, some secondhand Hoosier gravels. From there, when you start to go into the rally sprints and stage rally, you definitely need to have spares, lots of tires, things like that. So ended up picking up some brand new but relatively cheap MRF rally tires that were treating me pretty well in rallycross and rally sprints, but at the last stage rally event, the New England Forest Rally 2021, I ended up going through 3 of the 6 tires that I had for a variety of issues, including bubbling a sidewall and just getting flats left and right. So for the event that's coming up in the next couple weeks at the STPR in Pennsylvania, I have a brand new set of Coopers that are much stiffer sidewall, much stronger sidewalls, and hopefully those do a lot better, along with some wheel scrapers that I've fabricated to keep the rocks and the gravel out of the barrels of the wheels. This is one of the rims I ran at the last event, and as you can see, the inside basically looks like a record player. It's been completely chewed up from rocks getting caught between the barrel of the wheel and the caliper. And as you can see, there's a couple medium-sized holes in this barrel, which caused an inevitable flat. So you could see it directly through the backside here. Plenty of holes all the way around. It rides pretty soft. It's, like I said, lifted on VR6 Volkswagen Jetta wagon springs. So it's lifted a little bit, but rides soft but comfortable. When you're going on off-road, you want that extra ground clearance, and it's soft enough that it feels pretty comfortable, especially with the gravel tires soaking up all the bumps and all of the most of the rocks as well. These cars are required to be street legal. So for stage rally, because the events occur on public roads, now the racing occurs on closed off roads, logging trails, private property, things like that. But the transits between stages are public roads, so cars have to be registered, insured, and plated, and driving on public roads. So just driving around, daily driving, things like that, it's comfortable. It's stiff, but it's comfortable. For autocross, clearly it's a rally car for going off-road, but I do bring it to autocross because it's a fun car to bring. It's very, very soft. I have a 28mm rear sway bar in it, so what happens is around every single corner, it leans like crazy and lifts the inside wheel about 6 inches or so. And it's an absolute riot to just throw around an autocross course. It's not fast, but it's fun. My favorite thing about the car is the noise. It makes the best noises. It's a very visceral experience when you're flying through the roads, in the dirt, and just listening to this thing wind out, and it's an awesome experience. The Mark IV chassis, the engine, just everything as a whole, I think it's fantastic. It does awesome off-road. It does awesome on-road if you decide to build it that way. It's overall a fantastic chassis if you can get through some of the headaches, primarily electrical gremlins and the plastic issues that happen with age. If I had to do it again though, I probably wouldn't start with a Beetle. A Mark IV Golf would be probably a better choice. It's essentially exactly the same, except it's a lot easier to work on in every single way. My car is just, it's very different. I'd say most people, when they think of a rally car, they think of a car that they want to modify. They don't think of a Beetle. They think of that as, you know, a grandma's car, or, you know, a teenage girl's car or something like that. And I just like driving it around and see people's reactions where they see this fully caged rally car screaming down the road. And it's just very different, and it's just, you know, it always brings a smile to my face. Every time I drive it, it's awesome. Things break, it's awesome. Things get fixed, it's awesome. I mean, I always have a good time working on it. I have a good time working with my friends. I mean, the rally community is fantastic. And, you know, if there's any community of racers and, you know, automotive enthusiasts, the rally community is 110% the best community to join. Everyone likes to see it. They think it's this really unique build that, you know, you've seen this red Beetle fly down the road, and, you know, everyone just seems to really enjoy it. So I love it as well, and it's just a crowd favorite. Rallycross is definitely the best entry-level place to start in rally as a whole. Take whatever you have and go have fun. It's an absolute blast. You'll love it in every step of the way. The next thing from there, the next step up is to build something like my Beetle that would be good for a rally sprint or a stage rally, and it's not as unobtainable as most people think. Very easy to go out and build your own, or even buy a secondhand car for as low as, you know, a couple $1,000s to as high as, you know, 40, 50,000 if you wanted something like fully built and ready to go. So it's a big range, and it's certainly not anything that's unobtainable to the common person. This entire car was built in my garage, other than the cage, and it's not something that I would say is challenging. It's just how much time can you put into it. Thanks, Black Pearl Media. My name is Tim Thomas, and that's what's behind the build.